Let's dive right in. The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize is a big one, and it shines a powerful light on one of the most challenging political situations on the entire planet. And the Nobel Committee kicked things off with just an incredibly powerful line. And that one sentence, it tells you everything. This isn't just another award. This is a massive statement about the fight for democracy that's happening all over the world right now. So who is this champion of peace they're talking about? Well, the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela. And when you read the official reason why, it becomes so clear. This prize isn't for just one single thing she did. Nope, it's for a whole lifetime of tireless, nonviolent struggle. We're talking about an absolutely unwavering commitment to democratic principles, even when facing unimaginable pressure. Okay, so that naturally leads to the big question, right? Who is Maria Corina Machado, and what makes her work so deserving of this incredible honor? Well, the Nobel Committee used a really specific term for her, civilian courage. And they said she's one of the most extraordinary examples of it in modern Latin America. And look, that's not just about being brave in general. It's a very specific kind of courage, the guts to stand up to an authoritarian regime and to do it without ever picking up a weapon. And her real superpower, if you will, is her ability to unite people. I mean, for years, the political opposition in Venezuela was a mess, totally fractured. Her incredible achievement was getting them all on the same page, rallying them around one simple, powerful goal. We demand free and fair elections. Now, to really get why her work is such a big deal, you have to understand what's been happening in Venezuela. We need to talk about the backdrop to her struggle because it's a story of a nation in absolute crisis. And the change has been just staggering. I mean, think about it. In the span of just a few decades, Venezuela went from being a pretty well-off democratic country to, what the Nobel Committee flat out calls a brutal authoritarian state. And the fallout from that? A totally catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Just look at this number, 8 million. That's not just a statistic, that's 8 million people forced to leave everything behind. It's created one of the biggest displacement crises on the entire planet. And that number, it speaks volumes about what life is like for people still inside the country. So this is the world she's working in, a system where most people live in crushing poverty, where the state itself uses violence against its own citizens, and where any kind of disagreement is just silenced. So when we talk about her being in the opposition, you have to understand that's not just a tough career choice. It's literally a life-threatening one. So the question is, how on earth do you fight a regime like that? Well, Machado's answer has never, ever changed. You do it peacefully. You do it with democracy. And this quote, this one says it all. She said this more than 20 years ago, and it's basically been her guiding principle ever since. It's a simple idea, but so powerful. A complete and steadfast refusal to fight violence with more violence. And wow, has it been a long fight? I mean, this goes all the way back to her early work with a group called Sumate, right up to the 2024 election, where the regime just blocked her from running. But her commitment, it has never, ever wavered. And get this, even now, today, facing serious threats and having to hide, she is still in Venezuela. That alone makes her this incredible symbol of hope for millions of people. Okay, so let's look at the 2024 election, because it was basically a masterclass in how to resist peacefully. The regime says you can't run. Does she give up? No way. She pivots. She gets the entire opposition to back one single unity candidate. And then, and this is brilliant, they organize literally thousands of regular citizens to be election observers, documenting every single vote count at every polling station. And here's the kicker. It worked. The strategy absolutely worked. The data these brave volunteers collected proved, without a doubt, that the opposition had won, and by a lot. But the regime? They just refused to accept it. A total slap in the face to the people's vote. They just clung to power, which goes to show you this fight is nowhere near over. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Why is this specific prize for this specific person in this specific country such a huge deal for the rest of the world right now? Because her fight, it's like a snapshot of a much bigger and honestly a much more worrying trend that's happening globally. The Nobel Committee is using this award to sound the alarm. They're saying, hey, everyone, democracy is losing ground. And it's not just a feeling, they have the data to prove it. So, get this. 2024 was this huge year for elections around the world, more than ever. But look at this. A whopping 70% of those elections weren't actually free and fair. What we're seeing is this new playbook for authoritarians. They use the words of democracy, elections, voting, but they use it to hollow out the system from the inside. And the committee really drove this point home. They said Machado perfectly fits the original vision Alfred Nobel had for this prize. He wanted someone who brings people together? Check. She united the opposition. Someone who resists militarization? Check. She chose ballots over bullets. Someone who supports peaceful change? Double check. That's her entire mission. She is, through and through, a peacemaker. And really, that's the core message here. Her work is a powerful reminder of a truth we just can't afford to forget. You can't have real, lasting peace without democracy. Things like the right to vote, free speech, they aren't just political jargon. They are the actual building blocks of a peaceful society. So, in the end, Maria Corina Machado is about so much more than one political fight. She really embodies a hope we all share, right? The hope for a future where our basic rights are safe, where every voice gets heard, and where people can just live their lives with dignity and in peace. Remember that quote from the beginning? That she's a woman keeping a flame burning in the darkness. This prize, it's a huge tribute to her incredible courage, for sure. But it's also a question for all of us. In a world of growing darkness, who's going to be out there keeping that flame of democracy alive? And maybe more importantly, what are we going to do to help them?